Hi, I'm Lois Beres at KZGN-TV, and this is Ridgecrest Talk. And today I'm talking with Ken Dieball, who is, what is your title, Ken?
I'm the coordinator for the IWV CERT team.
Okay, you got that. Coordinator for the IWV CERT team.
Yes.
What does CERT stand for?
It stands for Community Emergency Response Team.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What skills did you bring to this? How did you get trained to get in this?
Well, I used to live in Ventura County, and then I moved out here about 12 years ago.
Okay.
And I've been a volunteer with the American Red Cross for about 18 years.
Doing?
Volunteer work also.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
shelter supervisor with the American Red Cross.
Now, do we have Red Cross here?
It's going to be, hopefully we're going to start to get it more into town and out.
Okay.
And I read about CERT in the newspaper, and the way I got started with the Red Cross was I went to kind of like a block party type thing where they had different emergency people there. And I liked the way that CERT, their uniform was, the equipment they had, and it's like, that's something I want to do. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I didn't live in the city of Camarillo. And it was sponsored by the city. So I just went American Red Cross, and I stayed with them until I moved out here.
Okay.
And then again, like I'm saying, I read it in the newspaper about CERT, started taking the classes, and then I was with the team, I think maybe 6 months or something like that, and I was brought in as assistant coordinator because of my disaster skills I'd had with the Red Cross. And then I eventually took over the team as a coordinator. I went ahead and ran the team for about 2 years, stepped on down, then I moved into the member at large, which basically, if there's an open position on the board, I would step up in it to fill that position, also help the coordinator out.
Okay, so you're kind of the substitute everything.
Everything,
Right?
yes, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Well,
And
that's
then I went ahead and the coordinator, Kathy, she stepped down after her, she had 2 terms of 2 years. And I went ahead and I stepped back up into the coordinator's position, and I've had it now for almost 6 months now, but this is my second term doing it, so.
So you'll be another 2 years, and then you'll
2 years, and then
step
I
down
could
again.
either step down or I can expand another 2
they'll
years
let you
after that.
expand.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
go up
that's
to
great.
4 years, just depending on what the team wants, so.
Great. And CERT then, from what you just said, it's not just Ridgecrest. I thought maybe it was just a Ridgecrest.
No,
brainstorm.
CERT's all over the United States.
Okay.
Yeah, it was basically started back in 1985. The Los Angeles Fire Department came up with the idea of getting the general citizen or regular person trained into how to take care of themselves. Because if in a major disaster, help is always way behind because of the situation, and we're so isolated from everybody else.
It's perfect for here.
Yeah, perfect for here.
Absolutely.
Yes, Ridgecrest
Yeah.
Police Department decided to go ahead, and they stepped up. They took on CERT. That's who we're under, is the
For
police
the police
department. Right.
So you work under them, and
We
if
work-
they get a call, they call you?
Well, we
or
get called up for different things.
From them? Through
From
Okay.
them, yes.
Okay.
And the way that CERT works is that we have our basic training, which you go through your 2 different types of first aid. You have anti-terrorism training. You have disaster psychological training. You have light search and rescue, fire suppression, where we just had a class last weekend at the McGee Center, and we actually started a small fire in the pan. We taught the new trainees how to use a fire extinguisher, because a lot of people don't know how to use a fire extinguisher.
I didn't think there was anything you need to be trained for, so I probably don't know
Yeah,
either.
yeah. We treat it. A lot of it too is just getting you prepared before, during, and after a disaster.
I get it.
Because in the town of Ridgecrest, unfortunately, if you knock out the 14, you knock out the 395, we're stuck.
We're done.
Yeah. And
Go
the
through
base.
Death Valley, maybe. Yeah.
Well, even going to Death Valley, there isn't too much along the way to going
For
to Death.
help or anything.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And there's so many different places that the road could go out if we did have like a major earthquake. So they're
Yeah.
talking. They keep talking about this 7.8 earthquake that's supposed to be happening
The
anytime.
San Andreas or whatever.
You're going to be going, and
And that
go-
does kind of come up this direction, doesn't
Yes.
it?
So yeah, we would probably have a lot of damage. I don't know exactly how much because exactly where it's located.
Where's it going to start? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where if it
right.
starts down, say down towards San Diego, goes up north, if it goes
We
out.
may not have too much damage, but if
Right.
it starts higher up, we could
But
be.
right, but the thing is too is that all the resources that we need to come in here, our food, our water, all that,
All that would
could
be
be
gone.
cut off. Our
Because of the
gasoline,
highways, right.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh
So
my
we would
gosh.
we're going to be on our own, and that's where with CERT we teach you to be prepared, for at least 3 days worth of food. So, you know, if you can do more than that, you know, would be great. You know, 3 days of like, you know, like a gallon of water per person per day.
That's
So if
what you
have
require,
five- right.
what you think would be
That's what
good.
you, yeah, because you not only use it for drinking, but you could use it for cooking, you could use it for your hygiene. A lot of people don't take into consideration to their pets. They have dogs, they
Exactly.
have cats, they're gonna also need water.
Very
you know,
true,
so.
yeah.
But we teach in the basic, like I'm saying, the first aid. I could set up a triage unit and then run the triage unit.
Interesting.
We go out and do light search and rescue, but
I was going to ask you about that because I saw some stuff about somewhere someone was rescued and your little initials were in there, so I didn't know that
Yeah,
you
what
did
we
that.
do is that CERT, we would go out and say, like, say an earthquake happened right now. Well, what I would do is I'd take care of my family first.
Okay.
And then I would take care of the neighborhood, the people's in the neighborhood, make sure everybody's okay on that. And then on my way in, I would do what they call a windshield damage assessment. And it's basically just driving down the road, looking over here, okay, this house is burnt down, writing it down, going down, okay, this house is destroyed.
Oh.
And then when I get into the Emergency Operations Center, all that information from our members are turned in along, you know, hopefully with other information. And then that way they can determine on a map of Ridgecrest, okay, like this part of Ridgecrest is, there's nothing there, so it's no sense of sending people out there.
Right.
This one here, we have so many people trapped, so we need to send people there.
And you've got a fire down there that you saw, or one that was burned out. You might need help there.
They might need help, yeah.
Okay, you talked about training.
Yes.
Where do you get that training?
We do the training. I'm an instructor.
Okay.
I just taught this past Saturday over at the McGee Center. I taught disaster psychology is what I taught.
That's an interesting topic, I imagine.
Well, I've just, being with the Red Cross for 18 years, I
Right.
deploy with them, so I've been on a lot of major disasters.
So you're probably an excellent instructor, but you probably have to take classes to become an instructor.
Right, there is
too.
classes. We have the trainer classes. Once they go through their training, it's 3 8-hour classes. What we do, we break it on up into different sections. And at the end of the training, then we have a test, which I think is 25 questions, something like that. And then we'll go back over each one of the questions to make sure everybody understands everything. If you miss a class, we'll set up like a special training period for you to go ahead and get you, you know, trained.
That's
Because there's a lot of
great.
people I know that you know, they have their own personal lives.
Yeah, and they
just-
can be there any time.
Exactly.
But there's
so-
some people that can't be there all the time.
Yes.
Like that.
So what we do is we'll go ahead and we'll work with them to try to get them trained up. I think they said there's about 400 people that's taken a CERT training so
That's
far.
wonderful. And
So-
how many active people do you have?
Right now, we've got an active team, probably about 30, I think it
Okay.
is, 30
Hold that
volunteers.
thought. We're going
Yes.
to go take a break, and we'll
Okay.
be back in about 2 minutes. Okay, you're back with Lois Beres and Ken Dieball. And is it Dieball? Dieball?
Dieball.
Dieball,
Yeah.
okay. And he is the coordinator,
Yes.
is that the title,
Yes.
of CERT here in Ridgecrest, and he works with the police and Red Cross. And we were talking about training and what all the people that he has that are all volunteers need to learn. And you were talking about, say, an accident or a disaster where you needed to put people, help them with injuries and that sort of thing. How do you train people to do that?
Well, we actually, you'll start out when you come to the class, say you're doing the first aid class, the first one. They would teach you to how to stop bleeding. You know, like when you say there's a cut and you put pressure on it to start out with. Well, a lot of people have the misconception that, oh, it bled through, well, you pull it off.
Oh,
You don't, you keep it on there and you just keep adding and adding and adding. Because if you pull it off, if it's starting to get, you know, close up, you're going to open that wound back
that's
up
right,
again.
when you
That's one
take
thing
the
you
pressure
don't want to
off.
do.
okay.
They'll-
So that's going to be a training thing.
That's going to be part of the training, yeah. They'll actually get hands-on training. We pair up the students with each other, and I would put, like, you know, put a splint on you. We teach how to do splints. Let's say you got a broken arm, you got a broken
Okay.
leg. If you've been injured and we think that you have a cervical injury, we put on what they call a C-collar or a cervical collar. We put
like
that
if
on
my
you.
neck was broken or something like
Right,
that.
if it was broken, or if we have even think that you have
Okay.
something like that extensive an injury.
You would put the collar
We
on.
would put the collar on
So
you,
that the
yes.
head didn't-
So the head didn't move around in
that.
that. And then we're trained to put you on a backboard, strap you on the backboard, and then take you out.
Wow.
But our number one motto is that as far as our safety, I'm number one. I look out for myself first.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if I get hurt, that's one
You're-
more victim that has to be
The
taken
other
care of.
folks have to take care of you.
Right,
Right.
one less rescuer. So we're always we always look out. We always go out in a team. We never go out by ourselves.
That's
It's always a team.
Mhm.
If we do
Team of two?
team of two, it just
okay.
depends on the situation.
Okay.
Once we get into over at the police station, then they'll go ahead and they'll let us know, okay, now we need you to go over to, say, over someplace on Downs or something and do a light search and rescue. So what we do is we're trained to do what they call a fast lap around the house. We'd walk around the outside of the house looking for obvious things. There's a gas line broken. There's a water main that's leaking. There's wires hanging down. There might be part of the roof be hanging down. In a situation like that, we don't go in because we're not professionals.
Okay.
We're trained, but we're not, we can't go in because it just being a safety hazard.
It doesn't
for us.
make good sense, but you could see it and then call someone who
Right, we
was
could call
trained?
somebody else and then just go ahead and just let them know we all carry two-way radios, which
You
are in
report back
communication.
to the police
We would
department?
they would report back to say if I'm in charge and the incident as far as like CERT is concerned, they would call back and then I would report it to whoever's in charge of emergency management there at the police
At the
department.
police department.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned a while ago something about a central place where you report to or where you work
Yes.
out of. Is that at the police department also?
Yeah, well, what we would do is that there's the flagpole that's right there in the middle of the turnaround
circle?
thing.
Uh-huh.
Right, that's where we would all meet. That's
Oh.
our staging area right there.
I get it.
And then if I can't, say, make it for a certain reason, the first CERT volunteer that's on scene would automatically take over, is in charge of the team until somebody else of a higher authority. Like, say the assistant coordinator, Brenda, she would come up. Once she got there, she would relieve that person and she would take over the team.
And what would she do? They're
They-
getting a report from the police?
Yeah, she would go in there and find out exactly where the police department, where the fire department, because we work with the fire department too.
Okay.
And they would, say, okay, like I'm saying, we need you to go over here and do a search and rescue, or we need you to go over to, say, Jackson Park and set up a triage unit. We got a lot of victims that need to be done. So we have all our different tarps, colors of tarps that we utilize for putting people on. Like the green would be, basically it's like, may have a broken arm or something. And then we go to yellow, which is a little bit more extensive an injury.
And your patient or your
Right, each
victim
of our,
is on that
these
particular
tarps, right.
tarps.
And then what we do is that we set them up into what they call a head-to-toe assessment. And what I do is I put like their head up here on the first person, the other person is down here. So you start at the head and you do your head-to-toe assessment on somebody. That's what I would be doing if I wasn't,
Okay.
And I would just go down the head, feel for broken bones.
Basically, the head person would do those.
Well, no, it'd be just myself and whoever else is there. That's
Oh,
where I
okay.
would be working at.
Okay.
And then we would just start at like on the head of the person. You're trained this, where we have the actual people.
In your training,
there.
you go through all this.
Right, you go through all
That's
this. Where you
amazing.
go down and you can find out if they got broken bones, you can see if there's cutting. And then the reason they call it a head-to-toe assessment is because once you get down to the feet, the other victim's head is right there. You start on them and you work your way up to their feet.
Oh,
then you
that's-
go over to the next one, the head to the toe.
That makes a lot of sense,
Right.
that you would do
And
that, and then
then-
you don't have to just search around and then start walking around them or whatever.
Right, and then we'd have what we call scribes. We would be given information, and then we have our tags that tell, like if they're immediate or whatever, they'd be on the red tag, which means that, say, someone's got a severe injury. Like,
Needs to get to the hospital
Needs to get to hospital
ASAP.
in a hurry,
Okay.
right? And we would stage our triage unit where it'd be accessible to emergency vehicles, because again, we work with Liberty Ambulance, we work with the police department, with the hospital, the sheriff's department, CHP. All these different-
Do you call them?
No, they would call us out. We have a call out
Okay,
tree. Yeah.
they call you out, but then when you get there and you realize that you need ambulances, will they come automatically, or do you call?
We would radio them, yeah. We would have a radio to keep in contact with the police department. The radios that we personally carry on, personal radios, and I could talk to anybody on the team. And then who's ever in charge would have a police radio. If, say, we're over at Jackson Park and say, they'd call back the OC and say, hey, I need 5 or 6 ambulances over here. And then if they're available, they would come over. But we would keep, triaging these people, taking care of them as much as we can.
Amazing, and all your people are trained to do that.
Yes. Mhm.
So there's a pretty extensive training that
Oh,
goes
yes,
into this.
yeah.
About how long does it take to get a person where they can go out?
Well, the training is 3 8-hour days.
Okay,
And it's
a whole
usually-
day long.
Yeah, all day long. And then we have, it's a 9-hour day, we have our lunch break in at. But there's like on, say, the first part, we would teach about the introduction of CERT, and then go into, say, fire suppression, and that would be an inside class. they would bring, we'd have our fire extinguishers out there and teach them about it, tell them everything about the fire extinguisher. Then on-hands training, where everybody comes out there, you got your safety goggles on, you got your gloves, your closed-toe shoes, long sleeves if possible, and then we got a pan, we start a fire in, and then they go in, 2 people
Put
on
it
that
out.
one. Right, you have your person with the fire extinguisher, and then you have a person behind you with their hand on your shoulder. And then our training is that you let the person know behind you, okay, going in is what you say. And they go up, they get close to it, and then they sweep the fire out.
Because you told me a while ago there's a method to fire extinguish. It's not just blow it.
Right, what you need to do
Okay,
is that...
excuse me.
Yeah.
We're about out of time again.
Okay.
We're going to go to a break. We're going to come right back and learn how to put a fire extinguisher on a fire. Okay? Okay, you're back with Lois and Ken, and we're telling you all about the things that I had no idea goes on in Ridgecrest. We're so lucky to have all these wonderful people that can help us out in time of disaster. We were talking about making a fire with your trainees and then teaching them how to use a fire extinguisher.
Yes, the correct way, because a lot of people think that you take the extinguisher and you try fighting it from the top. But you don't want to do that. You want to put out the source where it starts at. You want to stop it right at the
See,
source.
you've got this big fire. You're not going to squirt it up
Right,
there.
not
You're
at the
gonna
top.
go
You're going to go to the base of
bottom.
the fire, and then you're going to sweep it back and forth to
Back and forth.
that way you either cut off the fuel, you cut off the heat, or you cut off the fuel, the heat, and I drew a blanket on next.
That's okay. Maybe it's just fuel and heat.
Yeah.
But, and the
Oh, the air.
source or whatever
The air.
you've got,
Yeah.
whatever's out there
Yeah.
burning. That's amazing, because I thought you just grab a fire extinguisher and shoot at it. I didn't think about where to shoot or
No.
whatever, and I guess a lot of people, probably us ordinary folk, don't do that.
Yeah,
But you
we're
need-
trained not to do anything. If it's bigger than like a small trash can fire, then we're just supposed to walk away from it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
supposed to just get out again for our safety is what we're looking at.
It's you
so.
first.
Yes,
I like
I'm
that.
number 1.
Okay,
So, yeah.
that's what they say, number
Yeah.
one. My grandson does wildfires, I don't know what they call it, and they go in buddies, and the same thing. Them and their buddy are the
Yep.
number ones that they take care
Yep.
of. And that's another thing that you don't think about, is you don't get out there because you could get hurt if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. That's why
So-
CERT was created, so the general public can just learn how to basically take care of themselves, in emergency situations. So.
So supposing we had something big like that, then some of our people in town could go to one of your training sessions if they wanted
Oh
to?
yes, they're more than welcome. They're more than welcome to come in and sit on the business meetings, the training meetings, and then we just our third training will be this coming Saturday, so we'll be done training as of right now.
And that's an 8-hour day
That's an 8-hour day, 8-hour class is what it is.
at
yes.
Kerr-McGee?
At Kerr-McGee Center, yes.
How does one sign up if you're interested?
Just show up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Over
Really?
Here. Yeah, you can just sign.
Okay,
Just sign
see,
on
I'm
up, so,
interested
yeah.
in learning what you're doing,
Yes.
and then you don't necessarily have to volunteer.
No, you don't have
But
to.
if after doing that, you
Yeah,
could volunteer.
You could volunteer. You don't have to join the CERT team. And the way I look at it is if I can get 10 people ready to take care of themselves, that's 10 less people that I have to worry about trying to take care of.
That's true.
And
That's
that way
true.
they
Then
could,
he
you know,
can
like
go
she-
take care of someone that
I
doesn't
could
have a
take
clue
care of
what
somebody
to
else
do.
that doesn't know what's going on exactly.
Exactly.
so,
Oh, that's
yeah.
wonderful. You mentioned a while ago terrorism training. What do you do in that regard? I mean,
Well, a lot of the stuff we just we're trained to what to look out for.
prior to an event or
well,
after?
Well, prior to an event, like say if we went over to the post office to drop something off and we noticed that there's a lot of people that's walking out and stumbling and falling down because of some kind of a gas that was, so we would go ahead and we'd go uphill, upwind from that. And then we would try to cordon it off as much as we could and of course report it. But we don't actually go into the building to try to rescue the people.
I was thinking that wouldn't be a good idea because
No.
then you're number one again and you're
Yeah,
putting
we're
yourself
not
in
we're
danger.
not properly trained, to use a self-contained breathing apparatus like the fire department would use. To
The
go
fire
on some-
department would go then
Yes, they
after
would
you
go.
notified them.
Right.
But then
And
you
we
could
would
keep
just keep
people
the
from
crowd-
going in.
Exactly. So
Crowd
yeah.
control and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
And then if somebody did fall down with, say, poison or something, you would know what to do to help them if they were outdoors.
Well, we would stay away as much as we can unless because the fire department is basically more trained, they're hazmats, team and
Okay.
stuff like that would handle something like that. So, you know, we're taught the hazmat, different things.
But you
like-
could help a person get to lay down or something
Yes,
before somebody
yeah.
got there, because there'd at least be a friendly face if
Yeah.
nothing else. So that would be great. And you go out in teams, and how many people did you say you had on your
We have about
CERT?
30 active members all the time and about 12 that are just, you know, like when we be doing the traffic control at the college on Friday night. I think we've got about 10 or 12 of us will be out there doing the traffic control, which we've been trained again with Ridgecrest Police Department is one of the trainings we've taken.
Okay. And they train your group then?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
that's great. What is your favorite part of it?
The traffic control?
No, of CERT.
CERT, helping people in their
Period.
time of need. Yeah, just
Oh, that's so
you
nice.
know, I've been doing it for 18 years now. You know, most of it with the Red Cross, but it's just something that I enjoy doing. I'm there to help somebody in their time of need.
And you know how people need that, and it makes you feel good that you
Oh
can
yeah,
fill in.
and just a simple thank you, a handshake, or my
Wow.
biggest thing is I get a hug from a stranger.
See there,
saying
that's
thank
cool.
you. That just, you know, it gets to me. It just, you know, I'm a people person. What can I
I love
say?
it.
So,
That's
yeah.
great. And occasionally you have events
Mm-hmm.
that tell all of us people out here in Ridgecrest what
Yes,
you do.
we just had the emergency readiness block party on April the 18th at Leroy Jackson Park, and I designed it 6 years ago.
And what's involved in that then?
Well, what it is that, again, it's trying to get the general public prepared before, during, and after disaster. So what I would do is that I would go around and I'd talk to, like, the police department, and they would bring out all their equipment that they have for, like, emergencies. Went over to Kern County, and they brought all kinds of equipment down for me. The base came on over. EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal, came over with their bomb truck and their
Oh, wow.
robots.
Everybody can go to this, and
oh,
I
yes,
didn't
yes,
even hear
it's-
about it. I wish I'd gone.
Yes, it was a free event.
Okay.
And we did it in conjunction with High Desert Leaping Lizards is what we did, because they had the kids part of it with the, like, the little fair type thing where they got to do things. And then we had the emergency preparedness. Like, I asked Home Depot to come on in there, because where's the best place to get emergency supplies?
There you go.
Where you can go, Home Depot, Walmart, Kmart, this type of thing. Get yourself, you know, a preparedness, you know, a go bag is what we call it.
Okay.
Which everybody should have a go bag for.
And what's going to be in it?
Your go bag would be enough water and food and your extra supplies that you'd need for 3 days per person.
Okay.
And then what you need to do is you need to have one at your home, just in case you have to get out of your home. You need to put one inside your car, just in
So you
case
need
you're on the
two,
road.
pretty much.
3 of them, one at work.
Well, okay, hadn't thought about that.
If you're stuck at work.
And you have to leave from work.
Right, you have to leave from work.
Okay.
So, and then if you can't get to your car, you've always got your go bag. You need, you know, like to try to put your medications in there, flashlight, this type of thing that you'll be carrying with you, the little space blankets, because it does get cold in Ridgecrest.
Yeah, surprisingly so, it does sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're down to about the last minute.
Okay.
Tell me what you really want the people to know, and when your next event is going to be, if you
Okay,
know.
well, the next, as far as the block party, won't be until next April is when
Okay.
that is.
Okay.
They can always come to the CERT.
The
business
meeting.
The meetings.
And that is what day?
That's on the first Tuesday of every month.
Okay, and that's
And
where?
at the McGee Center at
McGee.
7 o'clock at night, yes.
Okay, and then the training session is,
The training, that's what we do, like on-hand training. We go back over a lot of stuff again, do the first aid or fire suppression, this type
you
of thing.
do examples, and then you allow people to help?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
We get,
we're going to have to go. We could keep
Okay.
going on this for a long time. But thank you so much for coming. This is so exciting to me.
Yeah,
And
well,
we're
thank you
so
for having
proud
me.
of you guys for doing that for
Well,
us.
thank you.
And
Yeah.
you guys, I will see you next week.